How's it going, Internet? Today we're going to talk about this global wealth pyramid. It's a report coming out of Credit Suisse, okay? And they do this kind of annually. It's pretty wild. They label this as, let's see here. Here it is. I will provide the link below. Don't forget to check it out. It's 72 pages long, the report. It's pretty in-depth. They claim that it is, here it is, screenshot. They claim it is the most comprehensive and up-to-date report, resource of its kind, this global wealth report, and supposedly analyzes over 5 billion households or people across the globe. Multifaceted, and certainly eye-opening. So what's pretty wild is that they claim that the global wealth grew by 9.8%, and per adult that averages to about $87,500. This is by the end of 2021. So I don't know. Is that because of C19, the money pump that was happening? Maybe. Let's look at the pyramid. So here's the pyramid. According to this, okay, out of the 5.3 billion people that they assessed, only 1.2% control 48% of the wealth. Okay, there it is. And that money adds up to a staggering $221.7 trillion. That's 48% of global wealth controlled by 1.2%. Is this a surprise? No, of course not. But it is always kind of a little bit shocking to see it in kind of graph form, broken down, very simple, almost cartoon. And it kind of hits you in the face when you realize that only 62.5 million individuals, okay, the top 1%, control half of the global wealth. That's a lot. Other interesting numbers: 627 million people. Okay, they're somewhere between 100K and $1 million. This is their global. According to the wealth distribution. Of course, out of this pyramid, the sad number is that 53% have less than $10,000, okay, per person. But again, this is out of 5.3 billion people, so is it really surprising? Not really. It is pretty wild. And actually, a good percentage, 33, 1 out of 3 people, are somewhere between 10K and 100K. And this is global, so it's actually not terrible considering they're counting Africa, Latin America, and all of Asia. So here's the report itself. So if you read the About page, they basically set up the Credit Suisse Research Institute as an in-house think tank post-2008 financial crisis, which shook, monetary systems and institutions, and it kind of spread globally. So it is interesting. So they study the objective of long-term economic developments, and I'm sure strategies, right? Global impact within and beyond the financial service industry. And I really believe that. Now here's where it gets a little more interesting. On a country-by-country basis, right? It says the US added the most household wealth in 2021. Is it just the handouts, or is it because are they reporting that the stock market boom that shot back up post C19, but now it's crashing? Is that taken into account? I don't know, but that's what it says here. Other ones that added a lot of household wealth, including China, Canada, India, Australia. Here's an interesting part. It says wealth losses were less common and almost always associated with currency depreciation against the US dollar. And they give Italy, Japan, Turkey as examples. Now, it goes on to talk about who ranks at the highest level, right? Which apparently is always Switzerland. Well, is that really a surprise though? So they rank the highest in terms of wealth per adult at a staggering $696,000 per adult. Wow, it's amazing, right? And other top performers, Australia and Hong Kong, New Zealand and Belgium. See, and this is kind of the other part where it's like a little disclaimer. It says here, while it's too early to assess the impact of widespread inflation and Russia-Ukraine war, wealth growth proved resilient in 2020 when C-19 happened. And the recovery during 21 produced even more favorable conditions. By year end, global wealth at prevailing exchanges, total exchange rates totaled 463 trillion, a gain of 9.8%. Is that really believable though? Come on. Come on. Wealth per adult rose 8.7%. I don't buy it. US dollar appreciation depressed these rates by 2.9%. What does that mean? Well, that means that their currencies were devalued against the dollar as the dollar appreciated. So despite this, aggregate global wealth grew by 12.7% in 2021, which is the fastest annual rate that they say is ever recorded. Here's some charts. 2008, boom, really low. Here's one by regions: North America, Europe, China, Asia Pacific, India. And this one goes by the exchange rates of the US dollar versus some local currencies. You got Canada here, China, Japan, as you can see, is really in the negative. So they would lose value in relation to the dollar. I think that Japan is one of the biggest losers here, and they sell a lot of products, and with their currency weakened, that makes their products cheaper on the global international markets. So that's pretty wild. Here showing the World Health Map, the World Wealth Map 2021. This is not really a surprise. It's mostly North America, Europe, and Australia, and Japan. And this one is pretty interesting. It shows the mean and the median wealth 2021 by country. Number 1, Switzerland, per adult, sitting at 696,000. That's a lot. Number 2 is United States, 579. Now, of course, per adult, that the average American does not have this money. The wealth inequality is extremely high in the United States. Therefore, yeah, the average person doesn't have anything close to this. But what it does show is how many wealthy folks are in those countries. And also, as you can see here, change for 2021, the United States experienced a very large change, as did Australia and New Zealand. So what it shows is that their economies can actually really withhold kind of abrupt changes that happened during the pandemic. And then they break it down by demographics, race groups, and according to them, basically everyone's doing better than they used to. So what's interesting is that they don't focus on how much their currency has been devalued since those times. 2019, they're saying that essentially everyone, not everyone, but most people were better off than 2019, and I'm just not convinced. I'm not convinced. If things are costing twice, 3 times as much as they used to, who cares if your global wealth report says you gain 10% if things are going up in price by 30%? See what I'm saying? And of course, they cannot ignore the growing prosperity, as they put it, of emerging economies, something like China, Taiwan, and also the expansion of the middle class in the developing world. And this is true. There are a lot of benefits to that, and that's nothing to sneeze at. Here's a regional composition of global wealth distribution in 2021. As you can see, lower wealth adults on the left, high wealth adults on the right. And look at China. China has a big, nice bulge. What this chart also shows is essentially the vast number of poor folks versus wealthy folks in given regions, where the bulges essentially describe how much wealth is in that regional population. And I think it is not only interesting, but also drives probably a lot of policy, geopolitics, macroeconomics, especially given resource wealth of certain areas, maybe like Africa. Here's another one. This one has the number of US dollar millionaires, percent of world total. So 39% are in the United States, which is wild. It's cool and it certainly is awesome. But considering that the rest of the world is more populated than the United States by far, it does lend itself to certain questions. But it's great for the United States, and I think a lot of this is owed to the strength of the US dollar, especially as the global currency reserve, or the reserve currency. So here it shows the ultra high net worth individuals in 2021, the top 20 countries, and guess what? US beats them all by a mile. Huge, huge. And China's up there too, which is not surprising given the amount of industry there and how much they're sending across all over the world, right? Their products. So that's not, and plus there's over 1 billion of them to begin with. Germany, massive intelligence out of Germany. So it is very, very interesting. Well, anyways, guys, that's it for this one. Small, quick, and I think it's very important to see the global trends in wealth. And maybe you find it interesting too. Smash the like, all right? Subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you in the next one.